evening. I'd like to thank everyone for coming this afternoon, and I would like to call this meeting to order. I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsay,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.
Motion has been seconded and approved. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the February 16th special call meeting and February 22nd regular board meeting.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the February 16th special call meeting and the February 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsay,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.
It's been moved and second and approved. Do we have any public input?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we'd like to have the financial report at this time.
Good evening, Chair Lindsay, members of the Commission Board. I'd like to begin tonight by providing you with an update on the General and Enterprise Fund financials for the period July 1, 2021 through February 28, 2022. Starting with the General Fund, total revenues for the General Fund for the 8-month period were $12.8 million compared to $13.6 million around this time last year. Represents approximately $827,000 decrease in revenues, or approximately a 6.09% decrease. I did want to provide a note on that. Essentially, the difference between the administrative revenue between this fiscal year and this time last fiscal year is the timing in which we received our tax revenue allocation. We did just receive an additional $1.7 million allocation tax revenue on March 18th. So that does put us in line with where we were at this time of year through the end of March. We anticipate receiving additional tax revenue funds up to the approved amount over the remainder of the fiscal year. We did see an increase in program revenue from this time last year. Parks and rental revenue was up $140,000. Recreational youth camp revenue increased by $98,000, and athletic and recreational revenues were up by $87,000. General fund expenditures for this period were $9.03 million compared to $8.79 million around this time last year. represents approximately 2.68% increase from this time last year, or $235,000. As in previous periods that I've reported, the biggest driver for this increase would be capital improvement expenditures, followed by programming expenditures. I did provide transactional data for the capital improvement expenditures. That was included in your board packets. If you have any questions about any of the transactions, I'd be happy to provide supporting data after the meeting.
So, quick question,
Yeah.
the increase in expenses from our budget of 350 to 522, what was the big driver of the overage there?
The big driver, there were a few projects that spilled over from the prior fiscal year. One of the large ones was the Friars Gate project. There were a few change orders that were associated with that project.
Okay.
For enterprise fund revenues, the current period was $672,000 compared to $632,000 this time last year. Represents approximately 6.36% increase from this time, or $40,000. Membership and program revenues were largely the driver for that increase. And then enterprise fund expenditures for this period were $819,000 compared to $610,000 this time last year. Represents approximately 34.2% increase, or $209,000 increase. Capital outlay expenses was by far the largest driver for the increase. And that was mainly the sand trap repair work that was done to prepare for the upcoming season. And again, those are one-time project costs.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hey, and this for Matt, maybe, not to put you on the spot real quick, and if not. So when we do, like you're saying, one of the increases for enterprises because of memberships, what's it, out of curiosity, what do we charge for membership to play golf out there if you want to have a, do you know? And if you don't know, that's fine.
It's $465 is the main one that we have out there, and that's the retired professionals that come out. But then we break it down for depending on each play and all that kind of stuff. So I could give you that detail if you want, but I know that the main focus that we have is the 465.
So,
is the most numbers that we have at that rate.
okay. And that just includes, like, does that give you a free cart fee?
No, so you pay, well, it gives you the cart fee, and then you pay $1 each time that you come to play, but then you pay the upfront of $465.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a question. I noticed that you didn't put the net revenue on this new report for the enterprise.
I see that it's possible that that was just cut off when it was converted to a PDF. If you'd like, I can provide you with the full report. Essentially, that would be the net between the total revenue and the total expenditure that you see on the report. It would be roughly 140,000.
So you're gonna send it to?
I'd be happy to send you a revised report that has that figure.
Thank you.
Were there any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have refunding of the series, 2012 Go Bonds.
Madam Chair, we have Lawrence Fair who will be reporting on that.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Okay,
So I know we also have Walker Goldsmith and Jordan Kaiser available on the Zoom link, and so they've actually prepared some slide materials. As y'all may remember, when we met last month, we talked about going out and soliciting bids to see where the market was with respect to your 2012 and your 2014 outstanding general obligation bonds. And so bids actually came in this afternoon. And so I believe if we can get Walter on there, they're going to just do a quick run through this slide deck. And I could certainly answer any questions as well. But I think there, as your financial advisors, it may be worthwhile to hear from them since they put the information.
Great, thank you, Lawrence. Can everybody see us and hear us and see our screen okay?
it's hard to see the,
It is
We can
hard
hear you,
to
though.
see, but we can hear you.
yeah, we're behind the plastic.
Okay, great. Well, I will not take too long this afternoon. Just to remind you, when we last met with you, we talked about two bond issues, one that you had issued in 2012, the other in 2014. And we're looking at refunding those, which is much like you or I would refinance our home mortgage while rates are low. We want to try to take advantage of that. Unlike a home mortgage refinancing, on your home mortgage, you can refinance at any time without any penalty. Bond issues have certain prepayment dates, sort of milestones during the life of the bonds that allow you to prepay on certain dates. And so for the 2012 bond issue, it had a 10-year prepayment provision, which we're now beyond. It was March 1 of 2022, so we can prepay that bond issue at any time without any penalty. For the 2014 bond issue, we're not able to prepay it until 2024, but there are some ways that we can take advantage of rates today to go ahead and lock in a rate and put us in a position to do that. It's something called an advance refunding. And so as Lawrence mentioned, we went out with an RFP, solicited proposals from banks. Those proposals were due back today. And Jordan, if you'll go to the next slide. And so when we presented to you about a month ago, we shared this same chart, which is where interest rates have been historically. And the sort of bluish teal line represents if you were to do a 10-year borrowing, the orange line, if you were to do a 30-year borrowing. The key takeaway is the very far right side, which, as I'm sure you all are aware, interest rates have risen pretty dramatically in the last few weeks, part because of the Russian invasion into Ukraine, uncertainty in the financial markets, inflation, and the Fed looking at increasing interest rates. So we're in an environment where interest rates have been rising since we sent out the RFP, but we've still got some really good news to share with you this afternoon on the results. So as I mentioned, we've got two different bond issues. This page shows you all of the bids that came in on the 2012 refunding. So I've got the bank names going down the left side of the page. The great news is you got 9 bids. And so that's a real compliment to you all as an organization that 9 different banks wanted to compete with each other to loan you money. The winning bid and our recommendation came from JP Morgan, and I've circled it in red. Their interest rate would be a 2.03%. That's locked in, fixed for the full 10-year term. These bonds only had 10 years left. They offered 3 different types of proposals. The one that we're recommending is their option A, which has something that in our industry we call a make-whole call provision, which essentially means to you all that we will not refinance this debt again. We would owe a prepayment penalty if interest rates decline. And so it essentially means that we're giving up the ability to repay it. But since the debt only has 10 years left and we're in a low rate environment, we think it's unlikely that we're going to be in a lower interest rate environment. If we wanted to pay up and have that ability under option B to refinance again, starting in 2025, they would just charge us a higher interest rate, 2.29%. And if we wanted to be able to refinance in 2027, it would be 2.16. So our recommendation to you is to accept the JP Morgan rate. And I'll show you what that means in terms of savings in just a couple of slides. But just remember that number, 2.03%. On the other bond issue, which was the 2014, I mentioned that we cannot prepay that until 2024. So there's a little bit of a unique structure here, and we call it in our industry a Cinderella or convertible option, where JP Morgan is going to lock in an interest rate of 2.5% for now until 2024. And then in 2024, we can convert it to a tax exempt rate at a 1.96%. So that conversion feature is what we refer to as the Cinderella structure. We know at a certain date in the future, we can convert it to tax exempt. So we just have to run the math to show we pay that 2.5% for 2 years, and then it converts to a much lower 1.96% interest rate. And we'll show you what that means in terms of savings here on the next slide. Okay, so this slide highlighted all the way to the right is probably the column that you all care the most about, which is if we do this refunding, what does it save us? And we've got in the bottom right corner highlighted in yellow the annual cash flow savings. So next fiscal year, and actually the fiscal year ending June 30, 2023, you'll save about $67,000 in interest. The next year you'll save $68,000. Then it jumps up for several years, and then it stair steps back down. And so cumulatively, by doing this refunding, you're going to save $1.1 million in lower interest payments. That's just quite simply, instead of paying the current interest rate that you got on those loans to the bank, we refinance with a new lender, and those are savings to you. In our world, we like to present value those cash flow savings back to tell you in today's dollars, what is that worth? And that's highlighted in yellow a little bit, about sort of halfway up the page in that far right column. It's $1,009,658. So really great savings. You might remember when we met with you last, we were projecting that number, Jordan, would be around $600,000 or so. So a couple of factors came into play. Interest rates have risen, which was a headwind, but we had been conservative in what we were projecting when we last met with you. So that offset that. And then JP Morgan was able to provide this unique convertible structure, which lets us get even more savings than we were projecting. We were hopeful that we would get banks that could provide that convertible structure, but we weren't sure. It's fairly new, and not every bank provides it the same way. So we wanted to be conservative in what we showed you when we last met. But all in all, a really outstanding outcome that's going to let you save right at $1 million. And that is true savings after you've paid all of the costs associated with the issuance, our fee, the bank's lawyer's fees, your legal fees, the outside consultants that we have to employ. So that's true savings to you and a really great outcome. Tonight, we'll be recommending that you approve awarding to JP Morgan those two bond issues. Let me talk for just a second, then I'll be quiet and take questions or let Lawrence talk about next steps. The last thing I wanted to share is sort of where we go from here. And we've got a calendar that has us closing on the loan April 27th. If you approve this afternoon awarding to JP Morgan, we will let them know with an email tonight and a phone call in the morning. And then there's some finalizing of the numbers that we need to do this week and into early next week. And then Lawrence's law firm and the bank's, JP Morgan's legal counsel, will get all of the documents prepared, and then we'll close that transaction on April 27th. But the interest rate would be locked in as of tomorrow morning, assuming that you approve it. So if there are any questions, I'll be glad to take those. And Lawrence, if there's anything that didn't come through because of the internet connection, feel free to clarify anything that we didn't touch on.
Sounded good on my end. I'd certainly defer to the board to ask any questions that you may have. Like I said, the numbers, as Walter alluded to, the numbers came in better than we originally had projected. And it largely was attributable to JP Morgan putting a really, really strong number on the taxable convertible piece. And as we talked about before, the reason for that is in the bond market, those 14 bonds sold with a 10-year redemption window. And so that means you couldn't actually call them until 24. But what JP Morgan is allowing us to do is to sell the bonds for 2 years at a taxable rate. And when that call date is met, we can then convert. That's the Cinderella piece of it. You put the magic slipper on, and it changes them to a tax exempt interest rate. And that's ultimately driving a lot more savings to the bottom line. And so it's something that we've seen. It's an evolving concept, and feel pretty excited that the rates came in the way they did.
So, just a quick question, so bond rates generally follow the treasury rate, is that right? So as that goes up?
Generally
bond-
speaking, that's right. And Walter, you could certainly interject on that. What we typically are going to see is you're going to, the good news is you have a really strong credit rating. We're AAA, right, Walter?
That's right, the county is.
That's split credit. So you effectively are seen as having a better credit rating than the United States government for debt purposes. And as a result of that, you're getting the absolute maximum value when lenders are lending you money because they see you as the most secure repayment source possible. That's what that high credit rating means. But generally speaking, yes, we're going to benchmark a 10-year tax exempt yield or 10-year tax exempt borrowing would be benchmarked to the 10-year treasury. What we discount from that is the fact that you get to borrow money on a tax exempt basis. That means that JP Morgan, when you start paying them the interest income back, doesn't have to pay federal income taxes on it. And so they pass along the savings as a subsidy to you by giving you a lower interest rate. The reason that the conversion works so well is because you're actually paying the equivalent of a 10-year treasury for the 2014 refunding. And then it converts to a tax exempt. That's the reason the interest rate falls by 50 basis points in 2 years. And so it's a kind of a unique structure, but taking advantage of that unique structure and the fact that you've had such robust demand for your bonds allowed us to make sure that we'd established a market.
So increasing interest rates would likely be adversely affect the JP Morgan rate down the road, correct?
Sure, that's a risk that they take. And so, the thing that you look.
Well, they'll sell it or whatever.
That's right. And so, but they're actually going to buy and hold this. They have a placement agency that will actually buy and hold this debt, and they book it as tax exempt income on their books and use it for,
Right.
A safe investment.
So locking in now would be more advantageous in 2 weeks, let's say.
Absolutely. So, because the other thing we don't have is a crystal ball. We would have loved to have been in the market in December of last year when rates were at the all-time historic lows, but you can't time the market. And if we could, we would all be sitting on a beach somewhere, drinking something cold.
And just on the present value of cash flow that he did, in that present value, what discount rate did he use to come up with that $1.9 million?
Walter, what's your standard discount?
I think we normally discount it at the arbitrage yield on the bond. So in this case, and I'm not showing it on the screen, but it probably would have been discounted right around 2%, give or take.
It's good.
Lawrence, I have a question. So on the 2012 bonds, we do not have, on refunding those bonds, we do not have the Cinderella option on that.
That's correct, because they're automatically tax exempt. You're able to redeem those on a tax exempt basis here at the outset. And the reason for that, that's called a current refunding. The call date on those bonds was March the 1st of 2022, because they were sold in 2012, they were sold with a 10-year option. The 10-year option has come, and so we can actually refund those on a current basis. And the reason for that is kind of like we're doing today. When the bank is bidding on your debt, they want to be able to lock in for some period of time, knowing that they're not going to be taken out by the whims of the market. And so they'll put these call features or this call protection in to protect their investment, that if the market falls apart tomorrow, we've locked it in. That's a risk that we potentially run. At some level, I would like to think that rates are not going to fall much below 2%, but they've been there. We just have to price debt when we know we can issue.
And I have just one follow-up question. So on the 5th slide for refunding the 12 and the 14 bonds, the highlighted yellow column is the projected savings for each year ending from 2023 to 2032.
That's correct. So it's basically taking what you would have paid on the 12 and 14 bonds
Right.
and comparing them based on the new interest rates that you've received for the, what we're calling the 2022A, 2022B, and just subtracting them. So that is how you come up with those numbers in the far right column.
And where would we see this money in terms of the cost savings? Where does it show up in our line item? Where would I
Sure.
see it?
So where you would see this is that is the equivalent of about 0.1 mils. And so as a taxpayer, it's going to reduce taxes by about 0.1 mils. So it's going to be a tax savings to your taxpayers when tax notices go out for the 23 fiscal year. So as you know, taxes go on in the fall, get collected in the spring. So we're, as Ryan reported a few minutes ago, you're just coming to the end of that kind of tax collection period. And then in October, we put those on and we put it on at that lower rate. And that's going to be passed along as a savings to the taxpayers.
So that 0.1 rate reduction, that's applicable from 2023 to 2032. And
That's correct.
you would see that in, okay.
On your tax bill. And then in 2032, when the debt is gone, all of those taxes are going.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So guys, just from a timing standpoint, you heard the recommendation from your financial advisor. The next step, as he looked through, as we showed on the schedule that's up there, what we would propose is there is a bond resolution that is an agenda item on your agenda this evening, is to give a formal approval to that bond resolution. The terms of the bond resolution allow Ms. Lindsay in her capacity as the chairperson to sign the bonds on behalf of the district as we move forward. It would allow us to lock in the bids with JP Morgan, and then we would follow through that schedule, closing by the end of mid-April, locking the bonds out and going through the full process. Ms. Lindsay, you would not be on the hook personally for signing these bonds.
Okay, we're going to cover that in new business. We're going to take action on the new
Wonderful.
business tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you all.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will have unfinished business, and that will include the Eastover Barbecue Festival. They were supposed to provide for us insurance information and security plan update.
Yes. Commissioners, as you know, at the last meeting, you approved the Eastover, the town of Eastover to have the barbecue festival at the Eastover Park, pending them providing insurance and policy and security plan update. So Jamie and Felicia will be coming and reporting and give you an update.
Good evening, Madam Chair and the rest of the board. We met with the town of Eastover, with the clerk, as well as the mayor of Eastover, and Felicia received some updates this morning. So I'm going to turn it over to Felicia.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. We do have the clerk of the town of Eastover on the call. If you have any additional questions for her, Ms. Veronica Outing. But in compliance with policy 8015, public use of facilities, we have received a waiver of facility use form from the town of Eastover and also a facility use contract from the town of Eastover. They have provided the documentation listing us as additional insured, and I can submit that to you. Additionally, with those forms that are required according to that policy. And they have also submitted a security plan as well. And I can go over the security plan if you like. Okay. All right.
Yes, please.
And while I'm just going over the information, we do have a map as well for the town of Eastover. But the information that was submitted from the security plan with the town of Eastover, they said they'll have 8 officers from Richland County Sheriff's Department. Those officers will monitor crowd and enforce law. They would assist if a patron needs to be detained. 2 officers will be at the entry point with blue lights. They will be assisting with traffic control and 4 on the outer edges. And Richland County Explorers will assist with parking. Hope Tech Protective Services will have additional 8 security officers assisting along with those Richland County Sheriff's Department. Those officers will assist with parking and traffic, and they will be checking all bags, and they will assist with crowd control and monitoring. The security company will provide barricades that will maintain crowd control and traffic. Emergency plan will be put in place prior to the event. At the end of the event, all officers and security will assist in clearing the area in a safe and timely manner. They will also have an additional 8 employees that would assist with crowd control. And other safety measures, they say patrons can only enter and exit through one area. And the town of Eastover will insure this insurance through special marked insurance consultant. And they have a copy of that as well.
About the insurance, did they tell you, did they submit that also?
Yes, they did.
You want to go over that, please?
Yes, ma'am. With the insurance that was provided, they list Richland County Recreation Commission as an additional insurer. The total amount is $2 million as a limit. And they have various things listed here. So the total amount that they're paying, they paid an additional $35 for the Richland County Recreation Commission to have an additional certificate. But they have liability insurance and it's $306.15. And for each occurrence, it's $1 million listed there as well. And $300 listed if it's any damages to the premises rented to you, and it says limited.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Covered it well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any other questions?
I got a comment.
Okay.
It might be good just to, for injuries and or any other issues, to make sure that there's some sort of log kept. Should somebody come back to take action against us or the event, it'd be nice to have a log of any arrests, injuries, those kind of things.
Okay, we'll definitely do that. We did speak to Captain Conyers in reference to that, and they will also have EMS on hand.
Yep. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, under new business. We have the human resources policies, and I would like a motion to approve all of these policies in total, unless someone has questions regarding them. They're concerning our recertification, and these were requirements that are, the new policies are requirements for our reaccreditation, which is due at the end of this month. Did anyone have any questions regarding policies?
That's all the policies that are in this book, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, the top sheet, she's outlined all of the
Yeah,
changes.
I didn't see
Did you
that
get
sheet
this?
there. Can I just see yours real quick?
She outlined all of
So
the-
Madam Chair and Commissioners, I provided a memo and a list of the policies for review and approval. These policies, they're part of our agency's operation and accreditation, reaccreditation process. So the policies that we recommended, they're either new policies that was added for our capital accreditation, or the revised policies that were needing updates, whether it be 3-year, 5-year, or annually. So these were the recommended policies that had to go forward for our process.
Okay. Before we disapprove these, Commissioner Lapine stated that he has some questions on the policies, a few of the policies.
So all these policies listed, you want us to approve the new policies?
They are either revised, so they were old and even in the old format. So some of them were updated, and I kind of just showed the changes that was on the side. Or they were two new ones.
So
up
if you had
there.
a question about those, when I read through it, I could ask those now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let me ask those now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so first one has to do with athletic tournament rental.
Yes.
Just in reading that, and I just need to get, because I wrote some notes down, but. So you guys took the rates up a little bit, which, is that correct, from 1,000 to 1,250, 625, 500 a day to 625?
So it actually makes it a little bit easier for people to come and rent from us for tournaments. And so at first it was just like, let's have 2 days and this is how much you rent for the entire 2 days. Well, this time to make it a little easier, we do a Friday rate and then we also
Right.
do Saturday, Sunday rate.
So how does that, like, if there's a conflict with annual leases, like, let's just say that you're at the baseball park and Dennisville has a lease on, let's say, Polo Road. And then James and I come up and say, we want to put on a baseball tournament there. We can't conflict with the annual lease, correct?
Right.
All right.
Right.
And then I noticed in 2E, it talks about the concession stands. And I know that at Polo Road in the soccer complex, that concession stand is owned by, well, they helped build it. So that one, they own part of that. So I didn't know if that had to be in that memorialized, but I just wanted to ask those questions about that on annual, how it affected the annual lessees, that's all. And if it doesn't conflict, then I don't have a problem with it. And the other one that I was going to mention, it might just be more of a statement versus having to have something change, but if y'all notice it, there's another meeting going on here tonight for there's a new land plan development standards going on for Richland County that are going to get adopted sometime probably in this summer. It was supposed to be in May, but so a lot of zoning's getting changed. And in some of these, in the land acquisitions, it refers back to a certain code. So we just want to make sure that when this gets adopted, we might have to change it, but there's going to be new land codes and how it affects us and make sure that we're just on top of that. That's all.
Yes, and we will, if that does change, we will have to bring it back to the board to get
Because it does,
updated.
it references the section and all that stuff.
And if there is a change and we can get it in between, by the time that the visitors come to us, we can just have an update for them at the time when they come.
But it's more of just a statement than that's all I have.
Okay.
Any other questions? I have a follow-up question. So in the development of land and facilities, I see verbiage like Richland County Code of Ordinance Code 2010 S-15. Is that what we're referring to?
That's gonna get
those numbers
changed.
gonna
So
change?
we're gonna have to
Okay.
just make sure we amend that
Okay,
when it's time.
okay,
But they have not been put into effect as of yet. It was supposed to be May 2nd, but I think that's been pushed
okay.
for May
Thank you.
22nd.
Any other questions? I'd like to have a motion to accept the administrative and human resource policies. And we'd approve all the policies in total. Madam Chair, this time I'd like to make a motion that we accept and approve all of the human resources and administrative policy review documents that have been submitted to us. I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 policies in total. Thank you.
A second.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner LaPierre,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yeah.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.
The motion has been second and approved. Thank you.
You want us to make a motion for the next one for you?
Wait.
Yeah.
I need a motion now
Oh, sorry.
for the waiver, excuse me. For the bond resolution, approval and refunding general obligation bonds of RCRC.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the refunding of the general obligation bonds of RC as outlined by our attorney, Lawrence Flynn. I guess that's it, right?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.
It's been moved and second. Approval for refunding general obligation bonds of RCRC. Next, we will have the acting executive director's report.
Commissioners, I have provided for you a report update, starting with the projects update. We have Friarsgate Athletic Complex. The concrete is complete. The asphalt should be laid down this week, pending weather. Light poles on field 2 were repaired, and the project is about 90% complete. Limerick Golf Course, the bunkers were completed. February was one of the best review months that we've had for Limerick's history. Limerick also was featured in the Palmetto Golf Magazine, which is an attachment that I've provided for you, so you can read it at your leisure. Richland County Tennis Center, the concrete and the fencing work is complete. Resurfacing on the courts are still being done, and of course, pending weather, we will should be continuing that as well, and that project was moving along. Capital update, the agency's reaccreditation is scheduled for the week of June 20th through the 25th of 2022. It will be a virtual visit this year, and so commissioners will be reminded as we get closer to that date. We are going to have budget preparations that's going on right now. The agency is doing the preparations for fiscal year 22-23 budget year. In April, we will be coming to you to present the proposed operating budget and CFP. And other items that we have, I was asked to report that exercise equipment was delivered over to Bluff Road Park on March 16th. The citizens are now enjoying those machines. We have the treadmill, the bike, the total body machine, and cross trainer and the elliptical machine was delivered over there. So, and that is my report.
Thank you very much. I spoke with some of the patrons down at Bluff Road, and they were very excited to get brand new equipment in their gym. Thank you.
Yes. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just more of a question or a comment, maybe some research can be done. And I was thinking about it today, like a lot of emails get sent and we're supposed to keep our emails separate from commission to our work, to our personal, blah, blah, blah. And it becomes a little bit overwhelming keeping, switching over your phone to the proper app to use, et cetera. And I don't know, like cost and, if it makes sense, but love to see if we could get a study done to look at possibly giving down the road the commissioners either an iPad or a laptop or some sort of device to, for instance, like tonight, it would have been easier to just look at the stuff as we're going through the meeting, possibly save on getting all the stuff sent to us, and then obviously the main reason would be emails for me and the documents, but maybe it's something you issue when we come on and return when we leave, but I don't know if that's something that could happen or at least looked at from a cost standpoint or maybe be budgeted in for the next year.
Next, we'll have our report from Jamie Russell on public information.
Good evening again, Madam Chair, and to the rest of the board. Of course, it is always my pleasure to be able to share with you all of the great things that are going on at RCRC. And so there have been some really great things that are going on here. I want to make sure I share my screen. All right. Looks like it's sharing, but you all aren't able. There we go. Awesome. All right. So in the month of February, after our regular board meeting, we did have the Black History Celebration at Gadsden Park Community Center. And so there, it was a very well-attended event. There were 54 people in attendance. I attended myself along with Felicia Venable, and they actually had some great displays of some very dated household tools and different garden tools. And I keep telling everybody I'm a country girl, so I knew most of them that were there. But we had 54 people in attendance. It was a great, phenomenal event, and that was at Gadsden Park Community Center. At Hopkins Park on February 28th at 11 o'clock, there was the Healthy Heart Drive-Through. And kudos to everyone in the community. There were 140 cars. It was not just an RCRC event, but there were several vendors that also donated items. And so we're real thankful to those events and to our recreation committee at Hopkins Park. Ms. Carletta Wilson is leading that charge there. It was a very great event. They've got a lot of different items in those bags. And so that was a drive-through event for the Hopkins area. At the Park Lane Adult Activity Center on February 25th, there was the Black History Movie Day. And so that began at 10 o'clock and ended roughly around 1 p.m. and there were 42 attendees there. You'll see some of our staff were actually there serving our patrons, and it's always a wonderful event to be able to celebrate monumental holidays throughout the entire month as well as the year. So our staff does a great job in not just recognizing the events that we have at RCRC, but those nationally recognized holidays and celebrations. At Bluff Road Park, there was the Bump Set Spike event, and there were 30 children and adults in attendance there learning about volleyball. And just to give you insight on how successful that program was, when asked how did the patrons enjoy it, they all cheered and said that it was a great event. So kudos to the staff out at Bluff Road Park. Also at Bluff Road Park, there was a Money Smart Financial Literacy Program on March the 2nd, and there were 13 people in attendance. And those that were attended were very, felt that it was very beneficial, and they learned quite a bit at that particular event. So you'll see that RCRC is spreading their wings with the different types of activities that we are holding. You may have seen it on the news, but at the indoor cornhole tournament at Eastover Park on March 5th at 1 o'clock, there were 15 attendees at this particular event. And so it was a well-attended event, and you'll see the men were quite competitive at that event. At the Bluff Road Park, there's the Little Lobbers Red Ball Tennis Clinic, and I think I mentioned this on my presentation last month, but that program is continuing to grow, and it was on March 12th at 10:30. One of our latest and most popular events that we are having is chair volleyball, and it is actually rotating throughout the county. And here you'll see pictures at Meadow Lake Park, where we had quite a few attendees. Chair volleyball is also played here at the Park Lane Adult Activity Center, and it's usually held from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it started out with just the seniors playing a few games against each other, but then the RCRC staff decided to join. So they came in and played a few games as well. And I think it's also been played at the Bluff Road Park as well. So chair volleyball is becoming quite popular at RCRC. In our next upcoming events, we have this Thursday, the Richland County Player of the Year, and it has been expanded. Previously, it was just for football, and it has been for football for 5 years. But this year, it has now been expanded to girls basketball. So this is the inaugural event on Thursday, and it is in person. We are very appreciative to Healthy Blue being one of our sponsors for this event. On Saturday, March 26th, from 10 to 1 at the North Springs Park will be our annual Cottontail Festival. And so there will be 3 egg hunts from 3 to 5, ages 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. And then TD Bank has joined us and will be providing for us an all-inclusive hunt area for children with special needs and abilities. So we're very, very excited about that. And sometimes we might have a surprise hunt for the adults. So we'll see on Saturday. On March 25th to the 27th, this same weekend at the Kelly Mill Sports Complex, returning back to this complex will be the Braves Country Battles with the Atlanta Braves. And that tournament runs Friday evening, all day Saturday, and most of the day on Sunday. So there are teams that are playing all up and down the Eastern Seaboard, as well as the Midlands, that will come in and have this tournament this weekend. Summer camp registration starts April the 1st, and right now we have confirmed Friars Gate Park, Kaufman Road, Bluff Road, where there'll be teams, as well as Polo Road Park and North Springs. On April the 19th, will be our volunteer appreciation. And this last year was one of the first times that we've had it, and it was very successful, where we acknowledge all of the volunteers throughout the entire agency, as well as look at our coach of the year and some of the organizations that have volunteered throughout the county with RCRC. And then coming back by popular demand is the Jazz Festival on April the 23rd from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at North Springs Park. We're very excited because all of our VIP tickets are sold out. Our early bird tickets are sold out as well. I think we have approximately 302 tickets that are already sold for this event. And the proceeds from this event will go towards our foundation. So we are very excited about all the great things that are going on at RCRC. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. That was an excellent report. And I hope everybody's excited about the Jazz Festival as I am. I'm encouraging all employees to buy tickets, and I'd like for the commissioners to sell some tickets. It's for a great cause. This is for the foundation, and with the money we make off this Jazz Festival, we are able to send several children to summer camp. And we usually get applications from the parents, and they're usually single parents or parents on low income. And we select about 10 children to go to summer camp free. So it's a very good cause, and I really support it and hope everybody else does. Next, we'll have request for the waiver of facility fees from the Sweet Potato Festival. Have they sent the information in?
Yes, Madam Chair, they sent the information in for requesting fees to use the site Hopkins Park. They are an association, of course, that's been doing Sweet Potato Festival for a long time. They turned in their information, and they're requesting that fees be waived. The event is on April the 30th.
So we need to take action on this, but you need to give us a copy of it so we can see it.
I'm sorry, I didn't provide the copy to them. You have one? Okay.
And they are also providing insurance and securities.
Man, you're getting the work out.
Correct. They also providing their own insurance and security.
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
she have?
No. Jamie just asked me. In case anyone has any questions.
You recommend this?
Yes, they have it every year.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's just.
We've done this in the past, so
All right,
what we
I'm
need,
good
we
then.
still need to see. The Sweet Potato Festival is held in Hopkins, and it's yearly, on a yearly basis. And it's a great festival for the community and everybody that wants to come. And in the past, we've always approved it. Are there any questions for I need a motion to approve the waiver of facility fees for the Sweet Potato Festival.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the waiver of facility fees for the Sweet Potato Festival.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay. The motion has been seconded and approved. Next, I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the athletic complex and also the project Clubhouse.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we move into executive session to discuss the items as listed on the agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yeah.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.
Executive session.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
Second.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
I need a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll second that.
It's been moved in second.
Yeah, roll call.
Who made the motion?
No,
I'll make a motion. No, but Donzetta did, but she's not allowed to.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll make the motion to come out of executive session.
Bob, do you have to second it or you just move out?
Okay.
okay.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley, Commissioner Singleton,
Yes,
motion passed.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we move, I'm at the motion that we move that RCRC staff, the subcommittee and/or Synergy Sports get clarity on state, local, and any other additional funding sources and report back to the board on the contractual matter related to the athletic complex.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
No.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a second motion on a contractual matter related to Project Clubhouse. I move that the RCRC board ask Richland County to seek funding sources, acquisition, and additional due diligence of Project Clubhouse.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lapine,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
No.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.
Madam Chair, before we adjourn, the documents I got there, what I would do is send it, I'll take a look at them, but then maybe send them to Attorney Dickey to send to you and to you and the board. I don't do that kind of work, so I need to. I'd have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry. I need a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lapine,
No.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
motion passed.